Good afternoon, everyone. Are we having a very pleasant weekend so far? Yes, terrific. Have you all been to the Orbx booth yet? Oh, that was a little bit quiet. That's all right. After this, we'll make sure that you can come and visit us after this in the next presentation. My name is Jared Marshall. I'm with Orbx. I'm an airport developer. And if you haven't heard of Orbx before, we make scenery. We make scenery for all of the civilian flight sim platforms available to us today. I'm here this afternoon to talk a little bit about what we've been working on over the past 12 months, some of the very exciting things that are coming our way and your way over the coming months. I've got three particular things that I would like to talk to you about this afternoon. The first one of those is the reason which I'm sure many of you are actually here, and that's one of the products that we are most excited about. It's our first True Earth region for the United States, and that is True Earth Washington for X-Plane 11. The second thing I'm here to talk to you about this afternoon is something entirely new. It's a product that we haven't talked about, it's something we haven't announced formally, and it's something that we haven't even previewed. So for you guys here who are watching, you are going to get the very first taste of an entirely new product, which is going to be for both X-Plane 11 and P3D version 4. It's an exclusive for you guys here at Orlando, and we're going to show that in a very little bit. The third thing that we're going to do, and this is going to be something a little bit different for us, something that is a little bit new. If things go pretty well, and fingers crossed that they do, we're actually going to launch one of our flagship products right here and right now. But before we do, I'm just going to give you a very brief overview of what we've been up to in the last 12 months since I've seen you previously at Vegas. It's been a really big time for Orbx. It's been a time of growth, and it has been a time of consolidation. We spent the last 2 years or thereabouts in a very heavy stage of research and development. We've been investing a lot of time and a lot of money in some new platforms, in a lot of new tech. And particularly in the last 12 months, we've seen a lot of that come to fruition. Over that time, we have released 7 region products. We have released 14 airports and city scenes, and we have released 15 cross-platform ports. So the majority of those have been legacy products from, or should I say, bestsellers from P3D version 4, and we've been porting them over to the X-Plane platform, but we've also been transferring them over to Aerofly, and in fact, with Great Britain South, we've had our first native X-Plane 11 product ported over to P3D version 4. That said, I know you guys are all aficionados. I know you all keep up to date via Facebook and on our forum, so this is probably not news to you guys, so we're going to move on straight on from that. What we're working on at the moment. So at this very point, across the globe, the global Orbx team are working on a plethora of products. Some of the products that we have in line, in fact, some of these products are products that are at least 50 to 75% completed. We have 10 international airports in the works. We have 9 regional airports in the works. So when I say regional, I'm talking about from the very smallest strips up to large regional airports, the kind of airports that you might fly your A320s or your NGXs into. Alongside that, we have 3 city scene products in the works. You can see a work in progress shot from Honolulu. You might have also seen some of those shots out in the foyer. Looking on a more larger scale, we have 5 region products currently in development, and as always, we have quite a lot of work going on with the largest global products. We have 3 currently in the works. That said, I'm going to finish that there. I'm not going to name the products. You would have seen many of them in the 2019 Global Roadmap post that John posted earlier in the year, and in fact quite a few of these products are products that we haven't even talked about yet as well. That said, going back to our first 3 things, the first of our 3 things that I want to talk to you about this afternoon. Many of you who know the history of Orbx know that we've been around for 11 years since the start of the FSX era, and many of you would know that the first product that we released back in 2008 was AU Blue, which is Australia, the first of the 4 regions for Australia, and that was for FSX. This was a groundbreaking product for the time. It created an entire region in a fidelity and a level of detail not yet seen. That said, That was a long time ago. Australia has been one of our most successful products. It is the product that we often get the most requests to be updated. So over that time, over the last 18 months or so, part of our core team have been hard at working on a new product, and that is an entirely new region-based product for Australia, Australia version 2. This is a product that covers the largest area of any of our region land class-based products in our library. In fact, it covers the entire continent of Australia. That's huge. That is absolutely enormous. Obviously, with a product of this size and scale, there is a massive range in geography, a massive range in topography, and a massive range of ecosystems. So this is something that is very hard to do within a region product, and this is something that we've worked very hard to achieve. I'm going to go through a couple of the main points, some of the main new features that you will see in the new version of AU that you haven't previously seen if you own the current existing version. One of the things that is most noticeable is the brand new high definition mesh. This means that the terrain mountains, the slopes, contours, things like that are in much better definition than we have had previously. One of the most requested upgrade features that we've had over the years is to the Great Barrier Reef. This is one of the iconic landmarks within Australia. It covers most of the Queensland coast, so it just sits offshore. It is a huge component of the scenery, and it is done in full photoreal. In fact, one of the team members who was working on this actually pointed out to me a couple of weeks ago that this feature alone, so this photoreal feature alone, is larger than many of our other region products. So that gives you a kind of sense of scale of just how enormous Australia version 2 is. Of course, when you think of Australia, many of you who are not from Australia often think of the outback. That's obviously a feature that we spend a lot of time in trying to hone, trying to capture the essence of. This is Lake Erie. It's a massive salt lake in South Australia. This is one of the many photoreal features that we have included in the product. Of course, most people don't actually live in the desert. In Australia, we actually live in the much more temperate zones around the south and the southwest and the southeast. This is an area just outside of Sydney. It shows again just some of the nice photoreal regions. We have made a really big effort to capture some of the really iconic geographical landmarks. So this is the Olgas. It's in the Northern Territory. It's very close to Uluru. You might know that as Ayers Rock. Many of these features have been created in photoreal. Of course, it's not just the iconic and the famous landmarks that we've made an effort with. We have this lovely shot. This is the North Adelaide Saltworks. So it's not iconic, it's not famous, it's not even fancy, but this is just one of the ways that we show that we've got a real attention to detail. So that again is just one of the photoreal points of interest that we have. One of the benefits that we have in version 4 and FSX is the ability to use seasons. So here we have a shot from the Mount Kosciuszko National Park. Many of you who have not visited Australia might be surprised to know that we actually do get a fair bit of snow in certain parts of southeast Australia. So this is quite close to some of the Australian ski fields. The Australian product includes all 5 seasons, so the 4 seasons plus a heavy winter snow season, and this is just a shot to sort of symbolise that. Probably one of the biggest features that we've got in the new version of AU version 2 is the updated and all-new airports. So there are 700 updated and upgraded airports across the entire continent. What that means is that the 350 previously default airports have basically been pimped out. So we've added much of the Orbx content, so things that you might recognise such as the people flow, the statics, the cars, extra vegetation, things like that. We've even created some new content, so some new terminals, some new hangars, things like that, exclusively for the Australian airports. And on top of those upgraded default airports, we also have over 350 entirely new airports. So these airports are airports that don't exist in the database. Hand in hand with that is the integration of our very popular AI freeware package. So we have a fairly extensive AI package for FSX and a different version for version 4. What our Australian product does is it ensures that the parking accuracy is perfect, so that when you use our AI, the aircraft park in relatively, basically the correct spots, that they interact properly and that it all gels nice and seamlessly. So you can see a shot here from an airbase near Perth. You can see the PC-9s and the Hawks actually park in the same spots as where they would in real life. But the real centre of the scenery is Melbourne. This is one of the largest cities in Australia, and it's where we've devoted a great deal of our time and attention. It is a full city scene, so the city centre has been entirely created in photoreal detail. You can see all the custom landmarks, the nice photoreal, the perfectly hand-annotated autogen, and it's all been nice colour balanced to get basically what you see here. One of the things that I really like about this is actually the night lighting. Now, the screen doesn't quite do it justice, it's a little bit too dark, but what the guys have done is they've really gone out of their way to really capture the dynamic lighting that you see in a vibrant city such as Melbourne. Of course, a lot of effort has been spent on the specific landmarks, the points of interest. So these are very detailed, but they're also really well optimized so that you're going to get really good performance out of the sim. Here we have the sporting precinct in Melbourne. So you can see the tennis arena. There's also the Melbourne cricket ground and the the football stadium that are just outside of shot. So again, the Melbourne is really the heart of this scenery package. Just before I wind up, I'm just going to show you a quick comparison shot. This is a random shot from Australia version 1. So this is a place called Kalgoorlie. It's out in Western Australia, really in the middle of nowhere. You can see the land class, you can see the water bodies. It's pretty good. It's a fairly fair representation. But if we overlay what version 2 looks like, it's like night and day. You can see we have the updated airports. Actually, you probably can't see. You'll just have to trust me. It's a little bit far out of view. So we've got the updated Kalgoorlie Airport, which is one of the default airports that has been updated. We've got the Ultra HD mesh. So you can see there's a massive gold mine. In fact, one of the largest gold mines in the world. That shows the nice mesh in nice relief there. We've got totally new updated roads and rails. So this is using tech and this is using data that wasn't previously available to us in 2008. We've got really improved urban areas. So for those of you who do VFR flying, you're flying by your charts, the shapes of the towns, the industrial areas, the parks, etc., all of these are far more accurate than what we have in our earlier land class products. The water bodies and coastlines have, of course, been drastically updated. These are going to be a huge improvement from version 1. And the photoreal areas have been included. So there's dozens of these across the entire state. Across the entire country. So this is AU version 2. I'm just going to look for a thumbs up from our team to make sure that we are all ready to go. Yes, I see thumbs up and no panicked faces, so that's really good. So what I'm going to do for you today is we are actually going to launch this and put this on sale. So Australia version 2, available for FSX and P3D, has now been officially launched here at Orlando from orbxdirect.com. Apologies. Ladies and gentlemen, without the audio, Australia version 2 available now. It doesn't matter, the audio track doesn't come with the scenery, so you saw the visuals, that's all good. Moving on, so we have the second thing that we want to talk about today, and that's the new product. It's something that we haven't discussed yet. It's an airport. It's going to be available for X-Plane 11 and version 4. It's been done by one of our internal teams. It's something we're very excited about because it is going to be our very first entirely PBR airport. So this means that it's an entirely next generation textured airport. It is something, it's actually going to be for the Great Britain South True Earth region. It is designed to work with that. And so we're going to show our very first exclusive shots for that today. And that airport is London City for X-Plane 11 and P3D version 4. Now, normally at this point, I would talk a little bit about what PBR texturing is, but I'm not going to go into the detail because really that screenshot says it all. If you look at the runway, if you look at the texturing, this is what the difference that PBR texturing can make to an airport. It is, of course, a 2019 standard airport, so the fidelity and the detail and the texturing is second to none. You can see that here with just one of the shots of the terminals. And of course, even though it's designed to work with True Earth Great Britain South, which does include an extensive London City scenery, there are plenty of points of interest immediately around the airport that really add to the immersion. Particularly, you know, many of you guys will fly into the airport, you know it's got the very steep approach. So this is the kind of detail that really is going to help make those flights extra spectacular. We did show some PBR previews of some of the components of this airport. We just did some teaser trailers, teaser shots about 3 or 4 months ago. These were the ground service equipment, so you can see some of this equipment here. This is not only going to be used in London City, but many of our projects going forward throughout the rest of the year. So at that point, I'm going to love it and leave it here with the London City shots. So this is London City Airport. We are going to be putting entirely new previews and a formal announcement for this in the coming weeks. Again, this is going to be a product that is going to be released for both X-Plane 11 and P3D version 4 as separate products. So keep an eye on our social medias for more news on that in the coming weeks. London City Airport. The third thing that we are here for today, and the reason that I know many of you are actually in this room, is to talk about our first region for the US that is of True Earth quality. It is a project that we are absolutely super excited about. It is a project that we've been putting an enormous amount of energy into for a good part of the year. It is an area that many of us know as a sentimental homeland to flight simmers. So I've been simming since I was about 10 years old. I've traditionally flown the civilian flight sims, and really this is an area that's been synonymous with them all. This is, of course, the Pacific Northwest region, and the product that I'm here to talk to you today about is True Earth, Washington. So over the past month or so, as I've been spending quite a lot of time with this product, I've been thinking about my experiences in this region over the entire time that I've been simming, and this is just an absolutely next level product. It just fundamentally changes the way that I'm going to be simming. The shots here and what I'm going to be talking about today are for the X-Plane version. And really when I've been thinking about these, I'm trying to think of evocative words that sort of conjure up the images that I think about when I'm flying in the Pacific Northwest. So those are things like, you know, the majesty of flying through just the scenery like this. The isolation and the serenity of flying through the isolated valleys of the Cascades and the Olympics. The diversity of the landscapes. It's really not something that we normally think of when we think of the Pacific Northwest as places like this. but also of exploration. So, exploring the islands and the areas around the coastal parts of the state. Of course, Washington is a populous state. We've got all the urban areas populated across the different parts. And of course, when I think of Washington and when I think of Seattle, I think of promotional material for Boeing official shots, just like this. So if we have a look and we have a bit of a breakdown of what the product is, I've specifically chosen this particular shot out of our library because it shows nothing particularly special. This is from looking towards the southern suburbs of the city of Tacoma. So it's not a glamorous part of the state. It's not one of the high-profile states. This is not an area that we would normally focus a lot of attention on. But what it is indicative of is it shows the standard and the quality that is standardized across the entire state. So what you see here, you see everywhere. There's no hidden patches, there's no areas that have lower detail. It is consistent across the board. First layer that we look at is the ortho imagery. So this is the photo reel. We clean it up, we colorize it, we spend a lot of effort to make sure that it is ready and presentable, and it is a cut above what you would get if you were just using any kind of downloadable content. This is entirely custom edited ortho imagery or photo reel terrain. The custom autogen, so we think about the buildings, the industrial areas, the residential houses. These use a very high fidelity and a great deal of accuracy to make sure that they are suitable for high-level VFR flying. The vegetation, again, we're using a lot of techniques. We're extrapolating height data from sources such as LiDAR to make sure that we get the heights and the types of the vegetation as accurate as possible for a product of this scale. The road networks, these are obviously an important part for any simmer, for any flyer. These are very accurate, these are very high fidelity. The points of interest in the landmarks. We have invested an enormous amount, an amount that we haven't previously seen for any other region product. We have got 1,500 landmarks dotted across the entire state. Obviously, these are centered more towards the cities, but they are dotted across the entire state for any kind of landmark that we thought was noteworthy. And in fact, when I was looking through the list, it was just this 40-page list of all the landmarks, there was a lot of points of interest and landmarks on there that I wouldn't really consider points of interest, but that's the level of attention to detail that we go through. And another point that I want to bring your attention to is the watermasking. The quality of this is the next level from what we've done in the previous True Earth regions. The accuracy, the color definition, and the clarity, which you'll see in some of the shots coming up, are really next level. And of course, the last point is the mesh. This is a 10-meter source. This is a great balance between performance and fidelity, and you will see across the shots just how that comes into play. Talked a little bit about the autogen. So here we have a good case in point. This is one of the library objects for the residential houses. You can see it includes full PBR, even for the autogen buildings. It includes PBR, it includes details such as the cars and the vegetation in the streets. Across the entire region, we have generic landmarks, so places like components such as height obstructions, power lines, wind farms, those kinds of things. The state is littered with them. When I think about Washington, there's the different components. We've got the island hopping that we have here in the San Juan Straits. We have the hidden valleys, so looking into the Cascades, looking into the Olympics, those kinds of places, the places that you want to really get stuck into with your bush plane. We look more towards the east, so obviously this is a bit of a contrast to the more maritime, the more temperate areas, so you've got the change, the more arid country as we go further east. We look towards the inland empires of places like Spokane, but then we also look towards the Columbia River and the Columbia River dams that you see beyond the Portland and the more temperate areas, which will be included in an upcoming product. Of course, when I think of the Pacific Northwest, I think of mountains and volcanoes, and of course, I think of iconic mountains. Aside from the terrain itself, a real core component of this scenery is the cityscapes. Spokane, one of the largest cities, Yakima. Bellevue, home of Microsoft. Tacoma, we already saw this in a little bit detail a few minutes ago. And of course, the king of them all, Seattle. we can really see here where these points of interest, all these different components, the points of interest, the roads, the ortho, the autogen, the vegetation, they all really come into play. Again, as I was talking about previously, the attention to detail in those specific points of interest has not been spared. They are the perfect balance between performance and detail. They include full PBR mapping, and particularly the city centre of Seattle is an area of quality and detail that we don't see anywhere else in a product of this scale. Again, just a nice couple of overview shots of Seattle. I know that this is a helicopter, but someone else took it. I just thought it was a cool shot, so I included it. And then of course we've got the iconic waterfront shot. So this is True Earth, Washington. If we have a little bit of an overview and we look at the stats, we've got 90,000 square miles of content. We have 1,500 custom PBR landmarks. We have 500 million trees, just think about that. And we have 43 million autogen buildings. The custom landmarks, I was talking about 40 pages earlier on. This is page 1. That's what it looks like. There is so much to put into the project itself. As an add-on to this, and this is actually the first time we're doing this, we've got an add-on HD pack, and what this does is this increases the fidelity of Washington True Earth for those of you who are looking for something even more. What this product includes is Ultra HD landmark textures for all the points of interest, so this bumps them up to 1K or 2K. These are optional textures, so you can use a control panel that comes with the product to see what best suits your PC needs. The tree textures have been bumped up to 2048. They are the TerraFlora textures. That's a name and a brand that you might recognize from the P3D and FSX world. We have upgraded and added some custom airport landmarks for the Seattle region airport. So they're not complete airport upgrades, but we've really brought together some of the landmark things. So you think of the Boeing factory at Everett, things like that. They are included as an extra with this product. And just because we weren't sure if that was enough or not, it is. But as an extra, we've included a free airport. So a free HD airport, which is Israel's Farm, one of our most popular airports for the Pacific Northwest region in FSX. So if we have a quick look, this is what Israel's Farms looks like in X-Plane. Beyond this, we also have many of our most popular payware airports for the region being ported over to X-Plane 11. So we have Darrington, which is one of the most iconic in the middle of the Cascade Mountains. We also have Anacortes, which is more on the coast. This is more along the maritime section. So this is an airport that includes a bunch of bonus airstrips, a couple of extra helipads as well. So this is just the start. We have a long list of many of our most popular airports that are going to be coming out, and they are currently on the way. So this is just a taste, but these are the projects that are currently in the works for for Washington True Earth. These are going to be coming out over the next couple of months, but I can tell you now that the very first of these airports are going to be ready for sale very soon after True Earth Washington goes on sale. Looking beyond that, looking a bit further down the roadmap, we have our extra regions. So obviously these products are going to also be brought over to prepared version 4. But we are looking further down the coast. We have Oregon, which is well underway. That's going to be released not too long after. We have Northern California, and particularly a region which I know many of you guys have been asking myself about over the last couple of days is True Earth Southern California. So that wraps up today's presentation, but I'm just going to finish off with 2 points for you before I leave you. The first one of those is that I am very happy to announce that True Earth Washington is going to be ready for release within the next couple of weeks. So it is almost ready for you guys. If you want to try it out, come to our booth. We have got a fantastic setup. We've been running it all day. You can come out today or you can come out tomorrow and try it out. And I'm going to leave you today with what is the official launch trailer for True Earth Washington for X-Plane 11. So I'm going to say thank you very much, and I'm going to leave you with the trailer for Washington True Earth for X-Plane 11. Thank you very much. Thanks very much, guys. Please stick around. I'm not going to spoil the surprise, but there is something very special coming on in this room immediately after me, Tiger and Amy. Stick around, and then if you have any questions, come and catch us at the booth after that. Thanks again, guys. Have a great afternoon. Cheers.